everyone, and welcome to our live stream. We are delighted you're able to join us today. We are very excited to be hosting the absolutely fantastic Adam, talking all about their brand new Smelly Dog Club. Ooh, very exciting stuff. So I'm going to let Adam do a quick introduction about themselves so you can learn, because better for them to explain than me. So Adam, can you let everyone know a little bit more about yourself and your training background, please?
Hi, yeah, absolutely. I would be happy to. My name is Adam Skandarani. I have been a dog trainer for 11 years now, coming on 12 years. And I am a certified dog trainer. I'm certified through the Karen Pryor Dog Training Academy, as well as through Leslie McDevitt's Control Unleashed program. I'm a certified Control Unleashed instructor, and I am currently in the works, in the process of my CNWI instructor program as well. So I am currently a PNWI, Prospective Nosework Instructor. Those are my certifications. Those are the titles I hold. And then I have also been a behavior consultant working with complex behavior cases, often with a medical component attached to them, because when is there not, for the last almost 6 years of my career.
Perfect. And we are very, very excited that you are now officially going to be joining into the Certified Nosework Instructor community. Very, very exciting stuff. Doing behavior and nosework. Yes, please. So this was one of the things of why I wanted to talk to you about your Smelly Dog Club, because it kind of is doing that.
Yep.
So can you talk a little bit about what your inspiration was for the Smelly Dog Club and what the Smelly Dog Club is going to be?
Absolutely. So my inspiration was sparked, as it often is, in the late hours of the night, one night, after I received a couple of inquiries that seemed very similar in their themes from a couple of people in the nosework community who were looking for consults to work on specific behavior stuff that was cropping up within their nosework searches, and they just couldn't quite figure it out, and we couldn't tinker it through. So I was like, yeah, absolutely, we can do that. And so both these cases for me felt very straightforward. They were not nosework related, but they were other than nosework related, but they were, of course, affecting their nosework searches at this point. And so I realized very quickly that there are a lot of people, I mean, myself included, with Flash, with Sansa, even to a certain extent. She had non-nosework issues that affected her nosework journey. Wibble as well. All of my dogs have dealt with it. So now I talked myself into a circle. But anyway, so these types of dogs and these types of issues, they just kind of all came together one day after I got these couple of inquiries, and I was like, I bet there are more of you out there with dogs like this. And I wanted to be able to reach a large number of people who were dealing with both the generic and the unique in terms of training issues in their nosework journey. And a group class setting felt like a really good idea to do it. But I didn't love that classes have like a finite time to them. They have a set beginning, they have a set end, and oftentimes you can't really work through the meat of the issue in those 6 weeks. That is the usual length of a class. And so I decided to kind of meld together what looks like a classroom setting, but also give it like a membership type flair, so that you can continue to work on the issues that you're working on with me for as long as you want/need to, while also being able to benefit from group learning and the classroom type setting. So I have it set up so that there will be working teams and auditors, and it will be super interactive, hopefully. I say this as if it started already. It will hopefully be super interactive, with my expectation is of working teams to be posting almost regularly throughout the week, ideally daily, and receiving feedback from me so that we could be working on these problems like for a good chunk of time together instead of just meeting once a week or whatever. And that's that. So that's kind of what the inspiration for it was there's a lot of teams out there who could use something like this. And I think a group learning environment happens to be the best way to get across this type of information while also having a semi-private feel to it.
So kind of a combination between the two. So you get the best of both worlds, which is kind of exciting. So that leads us into, I'm sure people are saying, okay, but what are the types of dogs and teams that would benefit from doing the Smelly Dog thing?
Well, there is no prerequisite that you have to be stinky, only
Right.
smelly. And yeah, so like I want to say my generic answer is any dog can join this club. Any dog will benefit from this club. But like to get more specific, dogs like Flash, who are big and boisterous and live life through their feelings and express their feelings every which way they can think of. And it makes it difficult for their handler and them to get on the same page sometimes. It is good for dogs like Wibble, who are easily overfaced by the world, who are easily shut down and decide to just mope along kind of like Eeyore would and just follow your lead no matter what you're doing and have no thoughts of their own because the world is too big and scary for thoughts of your own. And so this club would be good for building up those types of dogs as well as helping hone the types of dogs like Flash would be, the big boisterous over the top type of dog. So we have then the two extremes there of worked up and shut down. And then also almost any dog in the middle could fit in. So if you have a dog who is kind of middle of the ground, doing their thing, chugging along, and you would like to build up some speed and some stamina, this is something we could work on here in this club. If you are looking for something to do with your dog, with your nosework dog, who is, well, with any dog, I suppose, but your nosework dog, who is just over the top, cannot think, barrels through search areas, demolishing the whole area, and you really want to help them hone in a little bit and build some of those skills that they need to build in order to navigate a search area thoroughly, effectively, and in a way that's fun for both of you, not just for the dog. This is a team sport after all. Then this club is for you too.
Perfect. And then for the people who are saying, well, hang on a second, Adam. I was involved with nose work because it is supposed to just be all instinct, and there is none of this behavior nonsense that you speak of. I'm supposed to put out hide, dog finds hide, and that's about it. So what can you tell these people that they may not have even thought of behavior as part of the picture, that they may just say, all I'm looking for is for the dog to find the hide. But you may be looking at a search and say your dog isn't finding the hide because of these 5 other behavioral things that we can address. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, those are the teams who really, I would love to find me. I would love these teams to find me, right? And also, those are the teams that will not be actively looking for something like this or for someone like me to help them because they don't know that there are things impeding their ability to search better, more fun, more effectively, whatever their goal may be, because their dog is actually doing a pretty darn good job on their own. They just aren't quite there, if that makes sense. These teams would, so the question was, how would they benefit, correct? Okay. They would benefit by kind of learning how to observe their dogs a little bit better. They would learn how to keenly observe their dogs, not like as in great detail, but like really well done, keenly, that kind of definition of it. Observe their dogs and learn how to do it in real time. So like we all do a really good job of videoing our searches, I hope. And we are able to watch things back. That is the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful benefit of instant replay. But for these teams, there is more work on the handler, I would say, to really, really get in there and observe their dogs and really, really get in there and learn about like what are the types of behavior change that we are looking for that help us learn, that help us know if the dog is on odor, near source, or on something completely different. And then what those catalogs of behaviors, or what the catalog of those types of behaviors look like in all the different types of ways they could be presenting. So like we all know, for example, what a stutter step looks like. But is that stutter step happening because the dog found target odor, or because they found like chipmunk odor? Or is it because they're stagnating, but not stagnating, but like stuttering between the two and trying to decide which one is of more importance to them? Do you know what you are seeing in your dog's whole body in order to be able to answer that question? So that's the kind of thing that they would benefit from. Sorry about that.
That's totally fine. So this is something that I really want to pull on this thread a little bit, because there is something that happens in nose work where people are so focused on the hide that all of their attention is on that, particularly when they're training. So they're almost just watching the hide. They're kind of ignoring everything that happens until the dog gets close to the hide. And they're like, okay, now I'm zeroing in to see everything. But can you talk a little bit about, from your behavior background, some of the things that people may want to appreciate better, what their dogs could be communicating to them, even as they take them out of the crate, as they're walking to the search area, as they're at the start line, when they release them to search, during the search? Can you talk about some of that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. We're delving into crazy calm start lines territory here, aren't we? I love it. So, for those of you who don't know, that was a webinar that I presented for Scentwork University in the past, and it was all about crate to gate routines. And yeah, so team sports are often most successful when the team knows how to communicate and communicate effectively with each other. When we're talking about like human-centric sports like baseball, softball, soccer, basketball, etc., all the ball sports, we are often talking about the same language in terms of like species, as well as in terms of like cultural language and language, like words language, spoken language. It's a lot more difficult to be able to effectively communicate with your teammate when your teammate is of a different species and you are not speaking each other's languages even a little bit. And so oftentimes what happens, and what leads to conflict in searches, is that communication is taken for granted. We assume we are telling the dog what to do. We assume the dog knows what we're telling it to do or asking it to do, depending on what language you would like to use. I like the more positively affirming language. But that is neither here nor there. We assume the dogs know what to do. We assume they're just not doing it. What if I told you that you're not communicating effectively with your dog? What if I told you that your dog doesn't quite actually get what you want them to do? What if they're saying, hey, I know you really, really want me to walk nicely on a leash here, but like you have never once taught me that there is a possibility of me walking this gauntlet of parked cars with dogs barking at me from their crates over and over and over again, screaming obscenities and threats and who knows what. Maybe some of them are trying to be friendly, but I can't tell because of all of the noise. And you've never told me to walk on a loose leash through this type of context. And that is a piece of communication that we often take for granted. We think our dogs know how to walk on leash down the street. They should be able to walk that parking lot gauntlet. And I think that that is really doing the dogs a disservice because it's just completely and totally unfair to them. We say, I'm going to switch gears here for a second, but it's going to tie in. We say that dogs are really, really bad at generalizing in terms of like behavior. So, like, one thing that we say in puppy classes is you're going to teach your dog to do the same behavior in 5 different rooms of your house before you can consider this behavior like taught. And I think that's a really good way to put it. But an even better way to put it is that your dogs are really, really good at discriminating. And so they can discriminate between a sit in the living room and a sit in a bathroom. Well, you've never told me to sit in the bathroom, so why should I, or taught me how to sit in the bathroom? Why should I do this here? Why should I even think that this is even a possibility? It's just that we have to often spell out the different things that we want our dogs to do on a regular basis because they're so good at generalizing. And then you have trainers who are like me, who have decided that they are going to be very lazy trainers. I am a very, very, very lazy trainer. I train to the level which I train to simply because I am that lazy. I promise you, it all ties in. I teach in concepts. So I like to teach my dog that walking on a loose leash is a set of behaviors in and of themselves, and they happen under any circumstance under which they are attached to a leash. So it doesn't matter if you are walking down a calm park walkway or if you are walking the gauntlet to your nosework search. You are going to maintain a loose leash to the criteria which I taught you every single time you are attached to that leash. And I am going to make sure that you understand the pressures that you could be facing under these types of circumstances to make sure that you are successful. So, for example, I'm not going to teach my dog how to walk on a loose leash at 17 million different places. I'm going to teach them how to walk on a loose leash under 17 million different pressure points. So first I'm going to be like, can you walk on a loose leash by a open food bowl that has nothing in it, but it's your food bowl, so that's exciting. Can you withstand that pressure and maintain your loose leash? And then I'm going to ask the same question with food in the bowl. And then I'm going to ask the question with their favorite toy. And then I'm going to ask the same thing with their favorite person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're going to bring in random dogs. And then we're going to bring in random people. And then we're going to bring them into random places and all of that until they understand that it's the pressure points, that regardless of the pressure points, they still have to maintain this behavior in order to be successful. And so the onus is really on us to do a lot of this training, to do a lot of this communicating. And then not only are we teaching them to do these behaviors and teaching them to a fluent level, and again, we're still talking about parking lot behaviors here. We haven't even gotten to the meat of it. Once we have taught all these behaviors to a fluent level, we still have to work really hard on reading what our dogs are telling us, because I'm not the trainer who's going to sit here and say, sit because I said sit. I'm going to sit here. I'm the kind of trainer who's going to sit here and ask you to sit and then get curious about why you're not if you aren't. And so if I train my dog to that level of a loose leash walk and they are not walking with that loose leash through the gauntlet of parked cars, I'm not going to sit here and go, well, you suck, dog. I'm going to sit here and go, well, why? What is so difficult about this particular pressure point today of all days when you have been successful with this in the past? Sometimes it could be the weather. Sometimes it could be the obscenities that the other dogs are barking. Sometimes it could be the energy of the trial. Sometimes it could be internal antecedents, such as like what's going on in their own body if they're having a high pain day or anything like that. So there are 101 reasons why a dog might not be performing a behavior that they know fluently that have nothing to do with them being stubborn, that have nothing to do with them just not knowing or not wanting to. So getting curious is something that I'm going to teach you in this membership, in this club. It is going to be the overarching theme across the whole thing.
And that's the amazing part about it. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited is that the very simple example that you're giving of we're taking the dog out of the crate and we got to go through this gauntlet, that is the start of your whole search at a trial. So if that's not going well, and if the two of you are already mismatched, where the dog is saying, oh my God, and you're like, here we go, we're going to have a fun little trial. And the dog's like, do you not hear me? I'm about to die. That's not a good place to start. So the exciting thing about this club is the fact that you're breaking this down so we can see it a little bit differently. Because again, I say this in general terms that, we're just so focused on the hide, but we do get we get blinders on. We get so laser focused on the goal. I got to find the hides in order to get the title. But in order to achieve that goal, potentially, all this other stuff is important. And I think that has been missing. I know it's been missing. So that's why I'm very excited for what you're offering, is that it's building in these gaps. So with that in mind, what are some of the common issues that you think would be addressed in the Smelly Dog Club when you're talking about nose work? So some of the things that people may come to you be like, okay, I want to give this a try. I've been trialing. What are some of the things that people may present you with that you think the Smelly Dog Club is going to be able to address?
Yeah, absolutely. Quite a few things. If you throw a problem at me, I guarantee you one of my dogs has faced it, has given me that problem. And again, this comes back to concept training versus like do the thing training or behavior training. I don't know how else to describe non-concept training. I should really get on my definitions here. But like things like a dog losing interest in the middle of its search. That is something that can commonly come up. And it's a problem that I feel very comfortable helping with, assuming I watch your videos and we have a consult and we talk about all of this. And that's all going to happen before you come to me as a working team or whatever. But like, yeah, that's something I feel confident helping. So like if a dog stops searching and just kind of stands there in the middle of the search area, staring off into space, sometimes barking into the wind if you're Flash, there could be a million reasons. One, again, we could be looking at some hidden pain that might be flaring up in that moment. Two, we could be looking at a dog that is sitting there calculating in their brain, thinking for a second, going, what is this odor picture telling me? Where is source? You could be looking at a dog that is conflicted between two different priorities of doing what you need them to do to find the hide and also maybe their sense of safety, maybe their sense of well-being, or something else could have caught their interest that is slightly more arousing, exciting, or more fluent of behavior than hunting for target odor, for example, such as a chipmunk flitting through the search area. Yeah. Flash would have definitely gone after the chipmunk because chasing chipmunks is a far more fluent behavior than searching for odor. It always has been, it always will be. But that said, we have worked really, really hard in being able to put that thought aside for the moment until we find the target odor that we are looking for. And no, he has never been reinforced for playing nose work with chasing chipmunks. Another example would be like dysregulated arousal schedule, dysregulated arousal in searches. So like a dog that is a little too worked up, like we were talking about earlier, or a dog that's a little too shut down for what that particular scenario is calling for. A dog who just can't seem to get themselves into that optimal arousal, even if 5 seconds earlier, walking from the parking lot to the staging areas, they were just fine. So that kind of stuff. Source grabbing and snatching at source instead of alerting. I know quite a number of dogs who want to eat hides rather than tell us about the hides. And I can help with that. In fact, I have someone who will be a working team who is working on exactly that particular problem. Displacement behaviors. That's another good one that comes up a lot. Your dog wants to roll around in a search area. Your dog wants to stop, scratch, and sniff at the start line. Your dog wants to stare at the judge and timer and steward and try and elicit a response from them rather than searching. Environmental sensitivities. Think about like crittering. Think about general reactivity to other dogs, to people, to sudden environmental contrasts, those types of things. And then also just, we can clean up your pre-run or post-run routines. Like there is a lot that can happen here. Get creative. I will be happy to help you solve any problem you bring to me, as long as you trust me to work through the process with you.
Perfect. So when we're thinking about some of those things you were just outlining as far as potential issues that again are pretty common, right? You're the famous one of I tell my dog go search, and instead they take 2 steps, they stop, they sit, they scratch, and it's like go search now, and they take another couple steps and they stop, they sit, and they scratch.
Yep.
So that people, because right now they're probably saying, oh, the dog is just they're goofing off or whatever. Just go and do it. What are some of the things that you want to illuminate for people as far as what the other possibilities can be? Because they are so many. And in my experience, a lot of them have nothing to do with nose work, which kind of blows people's minds. They're like, what do you mean there's things that exist outside of nose work? So can you talk about that piece a little bit?
Yeah. The biggest piece that I'm always going to talk about from here till next Thursday and then some is always going to be the possibility and potential of hidden pain. That is always, always, always going to be number one on my docket. That's always going to be the first question I am asking. Is this dog behaving in this way normal in this context or outside of this context even? And then I want to ask the fleeting question. Oftentimes it's a fleeting question, just enough to put it on the whiteboard. Is the dog in pain? And then I will observe the dog through videos upon videos. If I'm working with them in person, then in person, I'm going to assess their gait. I'm going to do all sorts of things to potentially decide if I want to suggest to my client that they go get a veterinary exam of some sort. Preferably a really, really, really in-depth one instead of just a quick check by the vet and run some blood work, because oftentimes the medical problems that come through my caseload are often deeper hidden than that. Oftentimes we can't find their source. We just know they're there because they're responding positively to treatment. So things like that. I will always harp on pain. I will always this topic is going to be a huge and recurring topic in Smelly Dog Club. I am not here to diagnose your dogs. I am not a vet. I only play one on TV sometimes in my own head. But I will always show you what I am seeing and let you know that this is something I personally would bring up to my vet. That kind of thing. So that is the first and far most important thing to bring up in terms of like what else could be going on other than nose work. Oftentimes, most times, it is external pressures. So pressure can come in 3 different forms. In this particular case, one is environmental pressure. So just the environment itself is very difficult for the dog to work through. That was often Flash's issue. The second pressure would be like social. It's actually really 2 pressures. And the other one is social pressure, which is the pressure from the humans and other dogs in the area. So the social pressure can be broken into different categories as well. But the most salient of the social pressures would be handler pressure. So our presence and our actions, just our existence in the search area as part of the team with our dogs is going to affect the way our dogs search, one way or the other. And it is up to us to be cognizant of that and to be able to adjust how much or how little pressure we are doing. And it is up to us in training, outside of nose work training, to teach our dogs what we look like when we're weird under pressure as well, because we are oftentimes buckling, if you're me, buckling under social pressure ourselves in trials. Like, we have the timer, we have the judge, we have all the stewards, we have all our fellow competitors, we have the trial hosts, like we have all these people that we are trying to do everything right by. And then we also have our dog, who is the number one person we are trying to do right by. So that handler pressure is the biggest thing that I think we can be dealing with our dogs in this particular case.
Perfect. We had an excellent question in the comments. You guys are doing awesome. Make sure you keep adding those questions. So the first one is this only for set work or maybe also barn hunt? Because it's kind of like set work too. And would this also apply to something like NASDA, where they're hunting for rats or scented articles?
Thankfully, I have done barn hunt, Happy Ratters, and NASDA. So I am familiar enough with the rules, and I'm familiar enough with the way that you teach these things that, yes, this can apply for things like those as well, too.
Perfect. And so the primary thing that I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that people should think about this is if they are struggling with any of these things, that the benefit of doing something like the Smelly Dog Club is to look at it from a different vantage point of maybe we are actually rock solid as far as working odor, finding our hides, working our elevation, working our corners, all that's good. But there could be these other layers of things that we didn't even think was a possibility. We didn't even think that was something for us to concentrate on. Like, oh, mother is losing her head, or father is like a stress case. That's part of the issue right now. Is that something for people to help them ascertain whether or not this would be a good idea for them to do? That if they are currently training and trialing and it feels like they're just hitting their head against a wall and they're like, we're just not, I keep practicing, I keep setting up searches and we go to trial and it's a mixed bag. Is this something for them to think about? Because maybe they're just missing a couple of the puzzle pieces they didn't even know that they were missing.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are the people who I wanted to come find me. Come find me, come tell me why you are bashing your head against the wall. Let me, put a pillow there so that we can maybe stop the bleeding a little bit, and, so we'll stop the bashing and then put a Band-Aid on it, But yeah, no, come join the club, become an auditor, check it out, see what it's like. If I have a working spot and you're interested, sign up for that. I love tinkering through complex and nuanced issues that seemingly are unrelated. So, like, a good example, I'm going to harp back to pain again. A good example is, all right, I've been working elevated hides with my dog forever, and they're doing a good job. They're able to tell me when it's high. They're able to, for the most part, pinpoint when it's high. But come to trialing, your dog just cannot give you enough of an indication for you to be able to call something high. This might look like a hide just because I can see it over there. There's a picture hanging on the wall. So I'm imagining a hide hidden behind that photo, behind that picture on the wall. It's about 5 feet off the ground, maybe 4.5, whatever. I can't do my measurements. And your dog is working that picture, and they're bracketing, and they're trying to give you a little bit of an indication that it might be high. Something to take into consideration in a trial, again, is all these different pressure points. We have social pressure, we have handler pressure, we have time pressures for the handler, we have environmental pressures for the dog, all these different things, all these added pressures that we don't have in training. And again, in training, you could find that hide with no problem. What if the dog has some pain in its neck that is preventing it from looking up directly up where he would be indicating on that hide. It wouldn't show up in training because oftentimes, okay, so like maybe we paired it in training, so therefore it becomes far more motivating for the dog to push through that particular pain to get to that paired hide. Maybe we don't have the same pressures in training. Maybe you train alone and it's just you and your dog, and they can do it because it's just you and them, and you guys got this, and you're a team, and you guys are wow. But in a trial, you have all these other factors to consider. So like, I hate, again, to harp on pain again all the time, but it is so misunderstood, and it's so often neglected. Not in the sense that like, oh, I don't care my dog is in pain, but rather I never considered the possibility that my dog might be in pain. Things like that. Like, I don't know. I kind of went off on a tangent there.
No, I think it's an important thing for us to keep in mind. And even for things that I've seen in my career, such as the dog who goes into a search after they've been cued to search, and they stop and they scratch. And I had a client like this, and they were like, look, I am taking up so much time. The dog just goes, they scratch, they go, they scratch, they go, they scratch. Oh, it's just such a thing. I was like, okay. So the dog was a pretty well long-haired dog. It was a doodle mix, and they're wearing a harness. I'm like, can you just humor me for a second? Can you just send me a video of the dog doing a search with their harness on, and then send me another video with their harness off? And wouldn't you know, you took the harness off, there was no scratching, there was no stopping, and the dog just moved like butter. It was amazing. And they were very engaged with the search, put the harness on. It was this very stunted stop, scratch, and just not wanting to go. The harness was uncomfortable. Like, and the handler just didn't even think about it. Like, nose work, I have to have a harness at nose work. Like, who said?
Yeah, who said?
Right. So those are the kinds of things that I think people need to appreciate, that it has nothing really to do with nose work per se. But by joining something like what Adam is putting together with the Smelly Dog Club, having that other person be able to view what you're going through, and to be able to come at it from all these different vantage points, that is, maybe you are rock solid on finding that hide. Maybe your training is just out of the park. It's amazing. But there are these other things that just aren't even addressed because you didn't even know they were a thing. That's the power of it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm thinking a lot about all the different superstitions that we have about nose work. Like you said, gear superstitions. Who said we have to have a harness for nose work? Who said we have to have a particular type of line? Who said that we have to? And oftentimes this can bleed into our start line routines as well. I think it is incredibly important for us to have a well-practiced, well-rehearsed, well-defined start line routine. But I also think it's very easy for us to tip into superstition about it, and blame something that goes wrong on the fact that, oh, our start line routine didn't go just quite right, or something happened and my dog just didn't recover in time and I had to rush through my start line routine and things like that. So like, I think there is a lot of room for nuance in all of these different aspects of the things that have nothing to do with nose work, but have everything to do with nose work, but have nothing to do with nose work. And I am looking forward to discussing them all. I think it's really important, like take your harness example. I think it's really important to remember the value of observational skills and the value of having knowledge of body language and of behavior, and having our own catalog of behaviors of what dogs do and things like that. Because like, would you have been able to come up with that answer on the spot that quickly for them if you didn't know what dogs with long hair sometimes look like when they're uncomfortable in their gear? You know what I'm saying? So like, I there is so much nuance, and I can't wait to dive into it all.
And that's the thing that's so exciting about it, is the wonderful thing about nose work that I absolutely adore about this activity is that it's an entry level for almost anyone with a dog. My whole thing is we want every single dog playing nose work in one way, shape, form, or another. I don't care if you compete or not, just play the game. But because of that, we may have people who are coming into this who haven't been doing dog training forever and a day. They have their dog, they love their dog, they're doing this now, they get bit by the bug, like that's awesome. But they're lacking all this background that some of us just take for granted. And the wonderful thing about what Adam is offering is that they can fill in those gaps. And honestly, those gaps are important for everyone. The more that you can understand dog body behavior, what your dog is communicating to you, and then also appreciate what you're communicating to your dog, because they are brilliant at reading us. And you may have wanted, let's say that you ever did agility. Like, okay, I want you to go take that jump, but your body is screaming to go take the tunnel. The dog is going to take the tunnel. They don't care what your voice is saying. So it's the same thing during your searches, is that you very well could be saying, oh, we don't want to go over there, but your brain is saying that you want to go over there. The dog doesn't go over there. And like, oh, we didn't go to that corner. It's like, well, you told them not to. There's different things like this that I think that a program that Adam is putting together, that's why I'm so excited about it, is going to help you appreciate all these little things and learn about them that can apply in your searches. It can apply in your barn hunt. It can apply in your NASDA. It can apply in everything. And it can improve your relationship overall. So yay, very exciting. Go ahead.
I think it's also important to mention, as part of, I suppose, my inspiration for this is also all the behavior clients that have come to me that I have used Nosework to help in terms of their behavior modification plans. So not only is Nosework the most magical thing in the entire world, in my opinion, as a sport, as a thing to do, as like something you can compete and get pretty ribbons in. It's what I like about it. It's one of the things I like about it. But also, it can be used as a therapeutic tool for dogs who are struggling in the world. And so, like that type. So not only does my knowledge stem from learning the game of Nosework through playing it with my own very difficult and complex dogs, but also applying the game as a learning tool, as a therapeutic tool, as a fun activity for enrichment and exercise for these other behaviorally complex dogs in my caseload. And so it kind of like, through osmosis or whatever, pulls some of the education from here to here and pulls some of the education from here to here. And so we're able to see it all. This is also what makes it very easy for me to be able to read a dog after watching a couple of searches and go, okay, this is what I'm seeing that is constant throughout the videos. This is what I'm seeing that is happening all the time. This is what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So like, those skills come with time and with a lot of experience, and those are some of the skills that I would like to help impart on members of Smelly Dog Club.
Perfect. And those are very much the things that you are going to need, is going to make your life easier just living with your dog, no matter if you're doing Nosework or not. So that if your dog is communicating something to you, you'd be able to pick up on it. And if you need to communicate something to them, you could do it in a more effective way instead of going, all right, we're playing charades for the umpteenth time. What did you say? Crazy naked person. What did you say? Yes. So we can help you better understand your dog and your dog better understand you. But for Suffolk University, we are absolutely thrilled that Adam is coming back to offer a third webinar for us. And that is coming up this week. So can you talk a little bit about what you're going to be covering in your terrific Teamwork Searches Built on Trust webinar, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I am going to be telling a story, and that story is all about how Adam got to where they are today. Rarely do I get to present something that is all about me. And so this is totally me taking advantage and totally making it all about me. But we are going to be covering ways in which us humans, handlers, by virtue of being human, can impede and erode trust that we are trying to build between us and our dogs, and ways in which we can take our humanness and help it serve us better, if that makes sense. So we're going to be talking about the relationships built with our dogs. We're going to be talking about we're going to take a deeper look into reinforcement and what that looks like and what that means for our dogs. We are going to be looking into the different skills that we could be building for our dogs and the importance of skill building and how that looks in a sport that is all about instinct and all about that natural drive to hunt. And we're going to have a couple of action items for how you can work on your teamwork together. One of those action items is going to be join Smelly Dog Club. Spoiler alert. And we are going to be discussing all of those things. It's going to be great. We are going to learn from Sansa. We are going to learn from Flash, and we are going to learn from Wibble, as well as a couple of dogs in my caseload as well.
Perfect. So we are very excited for that live webinar. The link is inside of the comments. I'll also make sure that when we post this recording, you'll be able to sign up for that. Again, as you can see, Adam is very experienced, offers a lot of knowledge. You want to make certain that you're learning from them as much as you can. With that in mind, can you just talk a little bit about your background with Control Unleashed, maybe what that is for people who aren't familiar, and how they may be able to work with you directly if they do have a dog they think would benefit from Control Unleashed?
Yes. So Control Unleashed is a program developed by Leslie McDevitt in the early 2000s. It's been around for quite a long time, and it is, in my opinion, one of the most genius moves any dog trainer could have made, is creating this program. I am thankful and very fortunate to be personal friends with Leslie McDevitt, so I work really closely with her on a regular basis. So I get to discuss all of my ideas on Control Unleashed with her and listen to her go, yeah, Adam, obviously, every time I have a light bulb moment. Control Unleashed is a program originally built for sport dogs to learn how to harness and manage their arousal and work on that teamwork aspect of the whole thing. We delve into concepts like bioavailability, biofeedback, availability of reinforcement, default behaviors, start button behaviors, things like that, and all the different ways in which we can use contrived behaviors to communicate more effectively and more fluently with our dogs. And then these contrived behaviors over time go from your procedural memory into your working memory, and they can even turn into like counter conditioning tools with an operant flair to them, I think is how it was described. So I really like them because their games are really, really, really simple. Anyone can learn how to do them. Any dog can play them. I love them because they are so easily digestible. Like in our Friends of Control Unleashed group on Facebook, we have infographics that are free to use to show you how to use the games. The books teach you how to write, how to teach your own 6-week syllabus. So like you can learn how to do Control Unleashed through just reading the books. Her books are very digestible. But one of the benefits of working with a CCUI, Certified Control Unleashed instructor, is that you get the added benefit of talking about those nuances and talking through the different caveats and disclaimers and all of that stuff. And what if your dog is not behaving textbook? And so therefore, what do you do instead? And so a really experienced CCUI can really help you tinker with this. And I bring in my experience as a CCUI into Smelly Dog Club. And we are going to do a lot of Control Unleashed stuff. We're going to be talking about different concepts, different games, different ways to utilize these games and exercises, et cetera, et cetera.
Perfect. And that ties into my final question that I have for you, is that with Controlled Unleashed, but also with the Smelly Dog Club, are those just for dogs that have behavioral issues, or are they beneficial for all dogs?
I think they're beneficial for all dogs, honestly. We often talk about dogs with behavioral issues, and I think that's literally just because the squeaky wheel gets the attention, right? Like, so I think every single dog can benefit from learning how to play nose work really, really, really well. I think every dog can benefit from having a handler learn how to read their dogs incredibly well, to the point where they can predict their next move before the dog has even made the decision yet. Like, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like how keenly observant we should be with our dogs. Every dog would benefit from that. not just dogs with behavior issues, because you can prevent behavior issues from even taking hold if you know what you're looking for and how to respond appropriately to them. And so I think if you are someone who has a very, very normal dog, but you're also very interested in learning about all the things, then join as an auditor and ask your questions, watch the videos, participate in discussions, do the thing. I think you'll have fun too.
Perfect. So as we're starting to wrap up, if people want to get started, what's the best way for them to get started in joining the Smelly Dog Club?
Best way would be to go to my website, flashofbrilliancedogs.com, which I know you are going to be posting for them anyway, and going to the link at the top of the page that says Smelly Dog Club, reading all about it, and hit the button that says join waitlist. It'll take them to a Google form, and they can fill out all the information that I need to know. And then I will get in touch with them by mid-April at the latest for a May 1st start date.
Perfect. And then if people are looking for a little bit more direct help, maybe they do want to implement some controlled unleash, maybe they are dealing with some issues, they're not really sure what it is, maybe they do have a behavioral case that they're looking for help with. Do you offer virtual consultations for that as well?
I sure do. I offer them year-round. You can also find them you can find me at my website, flashofbrilliancedogs.com. In the upper right corner, there's going to be a book now button that you can book a consult with me. Or if you go to my contact page, then you can write me a nice lengthy email telling me all the things you want to discuss with me. And I will be happy to answer the email, and I will probably still want to do a consult with you. But that's how you start working with me.
Perfect. So Adam, I want to thank you so very much again. I'm really super excited about the Smelly Dog Club. Very excited about it. It's something that's very much needed. I think, again, bridging the gap between what we're seeing in performances, whether just in training or at trials, and the information it's going to be providing is going to be so incredibly valuable. I hope that people definitely take you up on this. Definitely make certain you check out their webinar that they're doing this week through Network University. Very excited about that. They've also offered 2 other webinars for us, all focusing on Controlled Unleash. You definitely want to check out that as well. Again, thank you so very much for everything that you do. Is there anything else you wanted to share with our listeners as we start wrapping up today?
Just that I'm really excited to get started with Smelly Dog Club, and I'm really excited to help some teams get back to searching the way they want to be searching. I want them to be happy as teams. I don't want just the dog to be having a good time. I want the handler to be having a good time too. So let's get to
it. Yes, let's have fun with our searches again. All right, guys, I want to thank you so very much for joining us for our live stream today. You guys were awesome inside those comments. Again, we'll be recording this. We post it up on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel and our website. But thank you so very much. Please make certain you give a cookie to your puppies for us. Happy training. We look forward to seeing you all soon.
Bye.